if you suck, you might as well suck with purpose.
I think that the Buccaneers could easily be fighting for the #1 seed in the NFC.
Maybe there's a world where they straight up are looking at their checking account like, I don't know what you want me to do, Trey.
I'm putting meat down that night.
So what's been on your mind? Because something that came across my page on Instagram has really been pissing me off. I'm sure you can guess what it is.
I actually don't. Is it something Bengals
Trey
related?
Hendrickson is now on the trade block again. The Bengals are they've met an impasse, and the Bengals reportedly are listening to trades.
What type of trade? Has there been any sort of rumors as to what the return would be?
No, people just are kind of guessing like a young player plus picks.
How? Give me, lay it on me, pal. What are you thinking about that?
What I'm thinking is that the Bengals are a degenerate organization that don't know how to manage assets well. They are just dumb. And I don't think it's even about money right now. I think that they're stubborn. I think that the people running that front office don't have the ability to see past their own just like stupid assumptions about what a contract should look like, and that they don't understand how markets work, and the fact that one player, because this market is so condensed, one contract changes the entire market. And so when Myles Garrett and when TJ Watt sign a contract like they did, it's going to change the market for the guy who is right there with them when it comes to sacks and pressures. And the fact of the matter is that if they wouldn't have been chumps who have been waiting this whole time and would have gotten the deal done earlier, they would have been able to get him on a budget, team-friendly deal according to what the market is set at right now. And I'm let alone the Max Crosby contract that also reset the market. And so because of all of this waiting and sitting around with their thumbs up their butts, they've created a situation where now they have to pay him, or else they're not paying him according to market standards. And now they can't even trade him, because if I'm a team who wants Trey Hendrickson and I'm willing to pay him the money, I'll just be like, I'll wait a year.
Yeah,
like it doesn't make any sense. They have no leverage in these trade negotiations in order to maximize this asset. I'm not necessarily opposed to the concept of trading Trey Hendrickson. He is getting up there in age, and even though our defense will suck without him, it still makes a little bit of sense, but not now. At this point, you have to sign him. And the fact that they're even willing to field offers just shows me everything I need to know about their understanding of how contracts works and markets work. And I don't know exactly what the details of what they're hung up on, but I guarantee it's related to the size or the how long the contract is and the bonuses that are going to be taken into effect. Because the one thing that they're scared of the most, more than anything, more than picking first in the NFL draft, is dead money.
Yeah. It's there, as I've said many times before, they're the sad, like an even sadder version of the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, because they wait so long to sign somebody just like Jerry Jones does. The problem is, though, is at the end of the day, at least Jerry Jones can put his money where his mouth is. The Bengals can't. And so when you have an incompetent front office paired with ownership that can't afford incompetency, it makes the most. I mean, you can throw the Browns out there because they don't have a quarterback situation, and they have made, as I think we're going to talk about a little bit later, probably the worst trade in NFL history. But in terms of consistent incompetency, it's hard to compete with the Bengals and the decision making that they have, not even necessarily in terms of the draft, but in terms of the ownership picking the GM and the front office that they hire, and then that front office doing a terrible job that the ownership doesn't have the money to compensate for.
Well, the problem is that the front office is run by the owners. Like, it's Duke Tobin.
Yeah.
He's not even considered a general manager. He
That's a
has
good
like
point.
some other position. He's been in there since like the 80s, and he's never going to leave. And I forgot her name, but basically, the Brown family, it's someone in the Brown family. She runs most of the operations related to like accounting and money. And so she's the one that really is behind a lot of these decisions. And she's just putting her heels in the ground and is not willing to move. And the difference is that Jerry Jones is clearly power tripping. Like, he all but said it recently. Like, one of my favorite reports is the one where he's like, well, we just have to have some drama it related to the Micah Parsons situation. And it's like,
which is awesome.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, as a little side tangent on the Cowboys, my opinions on the Cowboys are this, because I saw this clip that was posted where the ESPN morning crew or whoever it was reacting to Jerry Jones calling the Cowboys a soap opera, and they were all like, oh man, I can't believe he would say that, and it's ridiculous and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't think you understand. That's awesome. Like, that is so awesome that the richest man in the NFL is coming out, who owns the most popular NFL franchise that exists, that has wallowed in some shade of mediocrity, failure, or success that has ended in horrible fashion, to come out and be like, yeah, man, I love the drama. That's really good. So that's actually great that the NFL has personality like that. In fact, that's actually the opposite of the Bengals. The Bengals are sad and pathetic and can't get anything done. Jerry Jones creates exciting noise for all of us to interact with. The Bengals just don't do anything.
Well, it's just sad. It just really is. It's the poorest organization in the NFL who, like, it's one thing, like, maybe there is a world where they straight up are looking at their checking account like, I don't know what you want me to do, Trey.
I really think that is.
Like, they're actually like...
The Brown family's all like logging into their SoFi apps and like showing it to Trey Hendrickson in the meeting room, just being like, look, man, I'm really struggling. Like, we can't do this.
Like, I'm eating ramen noodles. Like, I'm balling on a budget here. Like, let me live.
They all sleep in their offices.
Yeah. They have like air mattresses in their offices.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh my gosh.
That's exactly what I think the Bengals operate as.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, well, on that depressing note, welcome to Two Down Territory. Today we're going to be we're going to be ranking every single division, or that's not really even the right way. We're going to be, I guess we're going to be ranking every single division within the NFL. 1 through 4, and kind of coming up with our division winners and just discussing every team a little bit. And then at the end, we're going to be making each of us is going to make a playoff bracket for the NFC and then the AFC. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because I think that there will be some divisions where it takes us, absolutely, we can discuss it, but there's not going to be any debate whatsoever. But then there'll probably be some divisions where we might have every single team ranked in a different order. And I'm curious, so we can jump right into it. I'll let you pick the division and we can just discuss them one by one. A little brief overview for you folks.
Yeah, so let's start off with the AFC North, because we just kind of had a big discussion about the Bengals. Given the Trey Hendrickson situation, I'm putting the Ravens first.
Even regardless of the Trey Hendrickson situation, I'll go ahead and say this right now. I think the Ravens are going to be the number 1 overall seed in the AFC.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I think that in terms, like, for me, it's either them or the Bills. Because I think that those are just like such dominant regular season teams. I think the Ravens are going to be the ones that are going to be taking that.
Yes, I think that, and the really fun thing about this is I believe it's either week 2, it's in the first few weeks of the season. We get an early preview of that matchup, Ravens versus Bills, which will be not only just a fun watch, but have massive playoff implications as a head-to-head tiebreaker. And
I think so.
We're going to find out right away. I'm off the top of my head, I'm forgetting who's on the road and who's at home for that game.
Yeah, I can't remember.
But and also it's a playoff rematch from last year. The Mark Andrews drop will be fresh on everybody's mind. That highlight when that week comes around, and that clip is going to be circulating everywhere. The Mark Andrews drop. That's going to be. I mean, the broadcast is going to mention it. So
they're
often.
playing week 1, I think.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, September 7th. Would that be week 1? Yeah.
It is. Wow, week 1. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, they're the first Sunday night football game, I think.
Well, we will find out right off the bat what will, in my opinion, potentially determine the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. So I think we're right there. We're right there.
Yeah, I think we're going to be on the same page. Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns.
That's exactly what I have. And I have the Browns most likely ending up with the number 1 overall pick.
I think that's really within the cards.
I did, and I'm not going to be I might use it as a slight reference point at some points around. I'm not going to be heavily referencing it, but I did this tedious but somewhat fun exercise where over the course of 6 days, every other day, or 5 days, I guess, every other day, I went through every single NFL game that will be played and predicted all of them. And then kind of did an average and because it was kind of just gut feelings. And so there were slight differences between all of them. And so I kind of averaged those out to create sort of my rankings. And I think that in 2 of my 3 predictions that I made, I had the Browns going 1-16.
Listen, dude, the quarterback situation is scary.
Yeah.
It just is. And like they have 6 quarterbacks?
5, because it's Watson, Flacco, Gabriel, Shador, and Pickett.
And then you said Watson?
And Watson. Yeah, that's 5.
What about Tyler Huntley?
Is he on the Browns?
They signed Tyler Huntley.
They did? They have 6 quarterbacks? Oh my gosh. What in the world?
They could field a 6-man basketball team with the amount of quarterbacks that they could have someone coming off the bench with just their quarterbacks.
That would be a fun exercise. Starting 5, if you had to pick all of the NBA's starting 5, but then also throw in the Browns quarterbacks as a starting 5, how well would they be able to perform?
No, we should do that. A fun exercise would being us picking the top 5 players from each NFL team as like basketball players for each position, and then doing like fun. A March Madness bracket of like which teams with their starting 5.
That sounds like that would take far too much research, but at the same time, I would I would invest.
That's
so
research
much
I'm willing to do.
I would put in the work to do something that stupid.
just for the love of the game.
Just completely nonsensical.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns.
What was your? Are we doing technically, because obviously we're saying division winners, are we talking about who we think the wild card teams will be?
I think we'll do that at the end whenever we make the playoff brackets.
Okay. Well, because I was curious about like, what do you have as the gap between the the Bengals and the Steelers.
Like maybe one game, potentially same record.
Okay. So you think that if the Steelers are potentially a wild card team?
I don't think they will be. I just think that the Bengals, and this is okay, so this might be me just like hating on them because I'm so mad at them right now, but part of this is like without Trey Hendrickson, it's hard for me to imagine them going more than 10-7.
Okay. So
But I
you
think
think it would be a
split.
situation where it's like the Bengals would be like the 7 seed and the Steelers could be like right on the outside looking in?
Yeah, like 8 or 9 wins. But if the Steelers do worse than that, I wouldn't be shocked. Aaron Rodgers has not looked inspiring in camp.
Yes. But we can kind of talk about that in a little bit. So it sounds like we're on the same page with our AFC North. How about the AFC East? I think we both are pretty clear on the the Bills.
Yeah.
The Bills will win the AFC East. We're both fairly confident about that. Where do you have after that?
I have the Patriots.
I have the Patriots as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes. Their strength of schedule is so good, and I just don't think. I think I'm projecting the Jets third and the Dolphins fourth.
I have the exact same. I had the Dolphins. I think will also be near. Will have the potential to be a bottom 3 pick in the NFL draft. I think that I would be surprised if the Jets won 4 games. I think that defense, specifically that secondary, might be the worst in the NFL. I think that the Tua health concern, even though I'm not as negative on Tua as some people, just throws a wrench into things. And I think that I think at the end of the day, the Dolphins, kind of as a franchise, are a bit of a dumpster fire right now. It would be surprising to me if Mike McDaniels is. You can't laugh at that because now we have 2 Mike Macks or Mike Micks in the NFL. We've got McDaniels and McDonald.
And McDonald, yeah.
I would be relatively surprised if he is coaching for the Dolphins in 2026.
I think that I am out on Mike McDaniel's ability to run a locker room.
Wow. See, I'm not saying that. So what I just said is less even of a negative as to him and more so like, I think that's just the cycle of what will happen. He'll get fired and he will get rehired elsewhere within 2 years. It sounds like you're more negative on him specifically.
See, there have just been so many reports from like Bradley Chubb, for example, and just different guys where it just seems like that locker room is just such a mess that it's not surprising to me that a team like them, especially at their peak when they had so much talent, was able to beat up and just dominate these really, the non-playoff teams. And then as soon as they went against a contender, even in close games, like I'm reminded of the game they played the Chiefs it was out of the US. I think it was somewhere in Europe.
Germany.
And it was a close game, but they just weren't able to pull it off. I think that shows a lack of maturity within a locker room and an inability to get it done when it really matters. And I think that that's a projection of a head coach. Not saying that he can't ever be a good head coach. He's a young guy. He's not, you know what I mean? Like he's not this experienced guy. I think he just needs to go get more experience. I think he would be a premium offensive coordinator within the league. There is nothing
without a doubt.
When it comes to his like football smarts and his scheme, it just really is. I just don't see him right now as someone who can potentially lead a locker room to a deep playoff run. I think he could get there, but right now I don't know if that's where he's at.
I'll say 2 things to that. I don't necessarily disagree entirely with what you said. I think that there are 2 things. One, how much does the culture of, not referring to the Miami Dolphins organization, but the culture of Miami have an impact on a locker room? that could be interpreted
Maybe.
what I just said in a lot of different ways. I feel like there's a certain vibe that Miami teams have where I'm like, I think it kind of takes a lot to keep a Miami professional team locker room under control. Again, infer what you will from
My
that.
counter argument, Mr. Spoelstra. One
Well,
of the best head
Eric's
coaches in the NBA.
You
Although it's kind of
answered
imploding.
it.
Yeah,
Well, it is kind of
that's
imploding. You kind of answered it by being like, well, one, it's kind of imploding right now, but also he's one of the greatest head coaches ever. So
True.
if we're holding Mike McDaniels to that standard, I don't think he'll hold up, but still.
I don't know. There's just been a lot. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of reports about the state of that locker room that is just not exciting or moving.
Point being, however, whatever percentage or pie chart we use to divide up the blame, we think the Dolphins will not be good.
True. And then the Jets, I don't know. I think Aaron Glenn's going to be good. I think that defense is going to be good. I think they're actually going to have a really solid running game. I think it's going to be like a 1A, 1B situation with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Their O-line is going to be better than I think a lot of people realize. And so, especially when it comes to run blocking. And so, yeah, like I just think that the Dolphins are a team that's on the downward swing, and the Jets this season are going to start making strides in the right direction. Yeah. And this is going to be the year where, they kind of cross.
And I think you and I both think that they will be succeeding, not to be too negative, despite Justin Fields. Like, I to a certain extent, I think that this will be a football team that Jets fans will enjoy watching far more than they have enjoyed watching Jets football for the last 7 years. And so, and that's not going to be because the quarterback play is suddenly going to be magical or anything like that. But I think the culture, all of the interviews, all of the talking points surrounding the Jets are going to be decently positive throughout the season, which is far more than I can say about the Dolphins, which is why I have to put the Jets ahead of the Dolphins in this rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we can move on. South? Is that who you want to go with next?
Yeah, let's talk about the South.
I have the Texans still.
I do as well. I actually have a bit of a bounce back season for the Texans, even though that offensive line will not be improving that much. I think I just have faith in DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud. I think those two as a quarterback coach combo are good enough to win a division that's as relatively weak. And I think a lot of this kind of depends on, I'm assuming who you have number 2 and I have number 2, but I think we might have slightly different takes on them, is the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
What are your opinions on the Jaguars? Not to spoil it too much, but do you see them as a wild card team?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you might because of your Liam Cohen love.
No, I don't. Well, I don't think he's God. Let's calm down a little bit.
He's not the second.
I think he's
coming.
good. No. I think that they just don't have the roster yet. I think that Trevor Lawrence also, next year, I think is all about staying healthy and just showing some sort of life.
Well, and then the year life,
after that is when it's okay, now the pressure is really on for you.
Well, I think that's how it would be in a fair and just world. I think there's going to be a bit more pressure on him this year than you're inferring.
Oh, 100%.
And so I think that relative to that, some people might see the Jaguars as still underperforming. I think the biggest goal for Liam Cohen this season is just to instill a shred of confidence into Trevor Lawrence.
That's exactly what I mean.
Because it seems like the man has been sapped of all faith in his ability, which he has a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I would agree.
But it sounds like we both think that the Texans will be a decent. There's a decent gap between the Texans and everyone else in this division.
Yeah, there is. And for me, it's really the defense that carries. Like, they do have good weapons. CJ Stroud is great. But the defense might be top 5 in the NFL. Their defense is going to be insane.
Very well could be. What do you think about? I have the Texans and the the Titans and the Colts pretty much interchangeably bad, but not not horrific. Like, I think both of these teams are probably going to win about 5 games. The problem is that the vibes could not be more different in winning 5 games. The Texans going I keep on saying it, the Titans going 5-12 is going to be like a hooray, and the Colts going 5-12 is going to be like, I want to kill myself.
I think that I have the Colts above the Titans.
Okay,
it's not really like a solid reason. I think that
I actually have the
quarterback
above.
Situations, that doesn't really shock me. It's just more about like I just think that the Colts are a little bit more established. Again, I'm talking about the Colts win 5, Titans win 4. You know what I mean? Okay. I think, but but here's the thing. But there is the question of if Anthony Richardson stays healthy. I'm not confident that they would make the decision to bench Anthony Richardson, even if he has a 47% completion percentage. And so the reason
I'm sorry. That's just such a ridiculous statement that is true.
I'll be honest.
It's so baffling.
Especially because Shane Stein, that's his name, right? Shane Stein?
Shane Steichen.
Steichen, that's it.
He's not Jewish.
It's German. What was I thinking? Shane Steichen is on a hot seat. And so, it's one of those things where it's like, if you suck, you might as well suck with purpose. And so...
yeah, if you suck, you might as well suck with purpose. That's one for the ages, Adam.
Dude, put that on a shirt, man. Oh my God.
That should be licensed Colts merch. But I would buy a hoodie, like a nice Colts color hoodie with a giant horseshoe on it that just said, if you suck with a purpose.
The words are in a horseshoe. If you suck with a purpose. This is our Colts.
This is our team. We bleed blue.
Anyway, so Anthony Richardson, I'm out on him officially, but I don't think that the Colts almost want him to get hurt. I'm kind of building into my argument of them beating the Titans is that Anthony Richardson's going to go down and Daniel Jones is going to bring some level of competency that they win one more game than the Titans.
That's fair. My perspective on the Titans is I think that this roster is good enough. And to be clear, I'm doing the mathematics here. The roster is good enough to win 3 games. And then I think that the ability of, it kind of depends. I think that you could probably see a situation in which they win 2 games purely by the playmaking of, oh my goodness, I'm having a complete and total brain collapse right now. Cam Ward, thank you. My goodness, the number 1 overall pick, and I forgot his name. They should ban me.
That is so Cam Ward. That is so Cam Ward of you.
That is so Cam Ward. I think that the random playmaking of Cam Ward can win a couple games and also be horrific enough to lose them more than they win. But I could see this team going 5-12. Point being, these teams will be waddling and being relatively bad, but with an entirely different outlooks and vibes.
True. All right, we can go on to the last division, I think.
Yes. You tell me yours
The
first.
West.
The AFC
Okay.
West.
I think this is chalk. Like, I don't really think it's up for discussion. Broncos, no, no.
You really had me for a second. I was like, oh, shoot. He's just
no,
going
Chiefs,
for
Broncos,
it.
Chargers, Raiders.
Wow. Okay. See, I have the Chiefs winning, but I have it being
Shame.
What?
I said shame.
I have the Chiefs winning. I think that the Chargers will be in a dead heat with them up until probably the last game of the season.
Alrighty.
I think that, and I know this might be a shocker to you based on all of my previous discussions of Justin Herbert. This might be coming out of left field if you're a two down territory listener. I think that this team can gel together, referring to the Chargers, and go 12-5 while this Chief team goes 13-4, something like that. And the Chargers split the season series with the Chiefs. Especially because of the weirdness of the first game of the season being in Brazil, Chiefs Chargers. I'm biased. I think that the Chiefs should and will win that game, but the weirdness of playing an international game always throws a loop into the situation. And then all of a sudden you're starting off the season and the Chargers have the tiebreaker on the Chiefs until they play again, not until December, I believe. And you're going back and forth this whole season with being tied, or maybe even the Chargers having a slight edge. I think the Chiefs pull it out in the end, but I think this will be the closest in the last 5-6 years that the Chiefs will come to being dethroned in the division, not because the Chiefs will perform poorly, but because I think the Chargers can have an excellent regular season.
Yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
I don't. I think that everything you just said, but like replace Chargers with Broncos.
See, I have the Broncos regressing a decent bit.
What?
I have the Broncos. I have the Broncos going like 7-10, 8-9.
Yeah, the classic regression when you get better.
The classic regression of Bo Nix being the next Mac Jones.
Okay, dude, that's such an awful comparison. Like, why are you being so dumb? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm with that. I think this might be our first big disagreement that we've had on this podcast.
To me.
Okay. I think that the Broncos will find out very quickly that maybe Bo Nix isn't all of that.
Okay. I'm just looking at a team that I think is going to, without a shadow of a doubt, have a top 5 offensive line, a top 5 defense, decent weapons, a really solid run game, one of the best head coaches, one of the only head coaches that have won a Super Bowl within the NFL, and then a quarterback who's competent enough to play like Jared Goff, which is really all they need, in my opinion, to actually like compete for the Chiefs with for the division and even like to solidify a playoff run. They have doubled down on all of the best aspects of their season last year. And I think that given how successful their defense is going to be, it's just like, I just like can't imagine a world where they're not winning 11 to 12 games.
I don't necessarily disagree with you about the defense, and I do like RJ Harvey, the rookie running back that they drafted. I'm just not nearly as confident in the overall weaponry of the offense. And that's what it comes down to, because I think it's one of those things where your analysis isn't incorrect. For like 90% of what you just said could be true, But if Bo Nix isn't actually who you think he can be, then it could still all fall apart, which is somewhat of a cop-out on my part in terms of an analysis aspect.
So here's the thing. Okay, let's just go position group by position group. Wide receiver, who has better who's better? Chargers, Broncos.
It's about a tie for me.
It might be okay, O-line.
Overall roster, I would give the Broncos, but I do really Harbaugh does bring a level out of an offensive line, but I would say just purely on
Who's going to
talent,
be playing left tackle for the Chargers this year?
Okay, fair. I'll give it to the Broncos.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, obviously they were the second best O-line in the league last year when you look at every advanced metric, and they haven't lost anybody. Okay, running back. Are you a bigger fan of RJ Harvey or
Amarian Hampton? I will stake that the running game of the Chargers is quite good. I would give that a slight edge to the Chargers.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Do you think that the difference between their two offensive lines makes up for the difference in skill between Amarian Hampton and RJ Harvey?
Yes, I'll give that to you.
Okay, so then in that case, your big argument is weaponry. And you think that they have an equal wide receiver core, and when you factor in the O-line, it's pretty equal as well. So then it's really quarterback, who I get Justin Herbert is clearly a better quarterback than Bo Nix. I'm not going to say that he's not. But and then the defense, it's not even comparable in my opinion. So it's at that point, really, it is just Justin Herbert versus Bo Nix, I
suppose. And you put me in a bit of a bind here.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure that everyone, if anyone is listening out there, just know that Jonathan and Aaron's
go ahead.
That is the reason why he thinks that the Chargers are going to be, forget all the conversations we had about Harbaugh's ability to maximize Justin Herbert. Just throw that in the backseat. Just forget about all of it. I had to fight for him to admit that Justin Herbert was a franchise quarterback in our tier list.
I'm getting exposed here.
I'm just so confused, Jonathan.
You've got me in a bit of a bind here. And
I think you put yourself in this bind.
I really think it's just the bias of, as a Chiefs fan, I hate the Broncos more than I do the Chargers.
Let's go. See, if you would have just said that, I wouldn't have pushed. I would have been like, okay.
And I will, if I can amend one thing that I said, even though you've very much won this argument. Having thought about it in the moment or after the moment, I would pretty definitively say that the Chargers wide receivers are better than the Broncos.
I think I think that too. You just said tie, and I was like, okay, that proves my point better.
That's fair. I was trying to
McConkey carries. Ladd McConkey is clearly better than all of those guys. So I think that's fair.
But you got me beat there. and then let's finish this off by just saying the Raiders. Well, actually, the Raiders are an interesting discussion.
They because really are.
What? Okay, can we real quick? Let's just pause, do a reset, forget everything we said. There's also a world in which the Raiders could finish second.
They could. They would. I would not be shocked. Okay, I'd be shocked if the Raiders have a better record than the Broncos. But if they are better record than the Chargers, I wouldn't. I'd be shocked. But it wouldn't be like I would point to this clip and say, look how smart I am.
Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, who's a competent quarterback.
Well, and you've said this.
A rookie running back who I have some doubts about, but is supposedly going to be generational. I know you're high on. The defense is a little there's a little homie kissing incident that throws a wrench into some of it, but there was some minor molestation happening. But hey, if Penn
sounds terrible. Minor meaning Minor meaning like a small
no,
increment.
That sounds awful.
That's a terrible thing to say.
That's a terrible way to
gosh.
phrase that. But hey, if Penn State could be good for all of those years, the Raiders can get over this.
Whoa, Jonathan, chill out.
That was
The point being, and one thing that you said when we were ranking their off seasons that's really stuck with me about the Raiders is that if you are looking at just the quarterback position and the jump between last year and this season, the Raiders have made probably the biggest jump.
It's between them and the Patriots.
Or the Titans, like, depending on how Cam Ward plays. Yeah, like, but again, like, that's kind of just based on, like, projection. Like, I'm saying, like, if you just input Geno Smith.
What a poll.
Geno Atkins? I know, he was my favorite player growing up. Anyway,
that's awesome.
Geno Smith, if you just put Geno Smith's stat line last year into, like, the amalgamation of Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, that's a crazy leap.
It is. Not to mention, like we said, we have some discrepancy on Ashton Gianti. It's not even discrepancy, more so just as like my firm belief that I 99% of the time hold myself to is that I have to see it to believe it from a rookie.
Yeah.
The one exception to that this season being Abdul Carter. I don't even think that we necessarily have that different opinions on Ashton Gianti. It's just I have to see it. But if he's anywhere near the way that people are talking about him, then yeah, this is a team that could easily win 7-8 games, and the vibes are fantastic.
Okay, so here we go. Last year, the Seahawks were 5th in the NFL in terms of passing yards with 4,379.
Geno's a good quarterback.
Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. The Raiders were actually pretty high. Oh, actually, this does not prove my point. Well, just forget what I just said. It's only like a 200-yard difference because the Raiders were actually surprisingly high. But still, I think in terms of skill level, it's a big jump.
It's not even close. No, I think that Geno Smith is going to absolutely be an improvement beyond a shadow of a doubt. Pete Carroll will absolutely be an improvement. Ashton Gianti will absolutely be an improvement. And then we just kind of have to see it from the defense. There's a decent chance that this is the best division in the AFC once again, just as they were last season. And so to all of those people that for the first few years of the Mahomes era like to say that he was, being benefited by a weak division, you can suck it because this division is the best in the AFC.
And then to go I remember the offseason where the Raiders got Devontae Adams. And then who did the Chargers pick up? They might have picked up Khalil Mack that year, and they picked up, was it a Dory Jackson? Or
it was the off season where the AFC West minus the Chiefs spent $1 billion in contracts.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, the Chiefs are in trouble. They're not going to win." Stupid people don't understand ball. They don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, so do you want to do our AFC playoff bracket?
Yeah, go ahead and lay it on me.
Okay, so let's see if I can make this work. Do you see the bracket, Jonathan? Do you see?
It is loading.
I have to still create it.
Yeah. We can also just, kind of verbally say it. I don't know if we have to fill it out entirely.
All right, fine then.
Yeah, we can just verbally do it. It's 7 teams. The people at home, I respect them enough to believe that they can follow along.
It's just not a big deal. I'm not even worried about it. Let's just say it out loud.
Just the most passive aggressive thing you've ever said.
Literally. Okay, so I'll go first. Number 1 seed, I have the Ravens. Number 2, I have the Bills. Number 3, I have the Chiefs. Number 4, I have the Texans. So now we get into the wild card teams. I have the Broncos, number 5. I have the Bengals, number 6, and I have the Chargers, number 7.
Okay. I
think that there's going to be 2 teams from the North, 1 team from the East and the South, and 3 teams from the West.
I have, and this is, my 7 is going to be a bit hard, but I'll just say I have the identical division winners ranked: Baltimore 1, Bills 2, Chiefs 3, Houston 4. I have the Chargers at 5. Okay. I have the Bengals at 6.
Okay.
And then
the Patriots?
I had 3 different teams be the 7 in each of the ones that I filled out. One of them was the Steelers. One of them was the Patriots.
Yeah.
And you've sold me, I won't say my other one, you've sold me on the Broncos a bit.
Who was the other one? Wait, 1 second. Let me try to guess. Was it... Wait, what? Who could it have been? The Jaguars?
The Jaguars.
What? Oh, okay, cool.
I had one,
I'm not mad at that.
I woke up one morning on the right side of the pillow where I was just like, screw it. I'm kind of feeling the Jaguars. That's all it was.
Kind of on my mind right now. Anyway, so then who are you going to pick? You got to pick one.
I will pick the New England Patriots.
Thank you. There you go. I wanted you to. I'm not going to lie. In our conversation, I was initially going to pick the Patriots. You convinced me of the Chargers.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because, like, the more I thought about it, like, the one thing that is true, the floor of Jim Harbaugh is crazy. Like, it's hard for me to envision them having a losing record. So It's like, for them to imagine them getting like 1 or 2 more wins to hop into that wild card spot is not that much of a leap for me. So anyway, cool. So I'll have to, I think that's awesome. Let's move on to the NFC.
Let's do it.
You want to start with the NFC North? Because I think this is going to be the hardest one, at least for me. Like, I actually don't have an idea yet.
My averages, the one thing that was odd is that my NFC North picks are probably my hottest takes in terms of a division, and yet across all of my quote-unquote simulations, it was all pretty much the same in terms of ranking.
Okay, so lay it on me.
I have the Packers winning the NFC North.
Oh. I haven't looked at their schedule. Is it like super easy?
Not even necessarily. I just was kind of feeling the Packers. I think I think that the Green Bay Packers are going. I've done almost a 180 on Jordan Love in the last like 4 months, because I used to be a Jordan Love, which is funny because Jordan Love since starting has kind of like declined in the 2 seasons. Like it's on a decline. I think that Jordan Love is definitively a franchise guy. I'm staking my claim there now, and I think that I'll just give my rankings. I have Packers, Lions, Bears, Vikings.
Okay.
That's a really hot take, I know. I want to hear yours before I just go on a tangent about some of these teams.
So like I said, I couldn't decide, but right now I just wrote them down, and this is what's funny about it. I have Lions, Vikings, Bears, Packers.
See, I knew this would probably be my hottest take.
Yeah.
I I almost don't even know where to start with the Packers. It's a combination of I really like Matt LaFleur.
Hmm.
I think I decently like Jordan Love. I don't want to get too
Hmm.
crazy with it. I'm not a I I'm it was dampened a little bit for a period of time when they lost Jair Alexander because I'm a big Jair Alexander fan. At the same time, I think that defense will be competent, and I think a lot of it also comes down to I think this division will just be a bloodbath in terms of divisional play. And I think in the wildness of all of these teams playing each other, like the Packers and the Lions could be tied and they split the season series and it goes to like a fourth place tiebreaker where the Packers
Hmm.
win the division. Like, to be clear, I think that there's a distinct separation between, and I know you obviously disagree about the Vikings and obviously the Packers, but I see this as a two-tiered situation where it's the Packers and the Lions and then a decent gap with the Bears and the Vikings.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a hot take, at least in terms of my friend group. I am a lot higher on the Vikings than a lot of people that I know.
I know you are.
I think it's just because, well, there's a lot of reasons. One, I think their O-line made substantial improvements. Two, I think that the mix of Aaron Jones and Mason, what's his name? Jordan Mason is
Yeah.
going to be impactful. I think that they're finally going to have a run game, which is something that O'Connell's offenses haven't historically had. Obviously, the weaponry is inspiring. I think that JJ McCarthy is an incredible situation in order to thrive. And then I think Brian Flores might be my favorite defensive coordinator within the NFL in terms of his scheme. I think that they have all the pieces to be really, really good on that end of the field. And so, in my opinion, it's one of those situations where I want to give the Bears time. I'm not necessarily, and maybe I'm kind of convincing myself to put the Bears last and the Packers ahead of them. Um, but I think that the Vikings will still win. How many games did they win last year? Like 14?
Yeah.
I think that them winning 12 is not out of the equation. I think that the problem with the Packers is just one, I'm not particularly inspired by their defense and specifically their edge rush. Last year, they got a new defensive coordinator. I can't forget his name. And it totally killed all of Rashawn Gary's momentum. And they just don't really have a lot of answers at that side of the ball. Their offensive line is decent. Their weaponry is okay. I am a big Matthew Golden fan. I just, how much does a rookie really do? Jordan Love is incredible. He has really bad habits. Really bad habits. And we haven't seen a season where he's consistent enough for me to say that he's a top end quarterback. And of course, I'm comparing him to JJ McCarthy. I just think that the rosters are incomparable. In terms of rosters and tiers, the Lions clearly have the best roster in that division. Then it's Vikings. Then it's Bears and Packers are like kind of in a similar boat.
Okay.
Again, like the Lions, to kind of touch on them a little bit, I still think pause. um I think that the Lions clearly still have an incredible roster. They have the best weaponry, and I think that they do have the best quarterback within that division. Just looking at the numbers, I know like you are not high on Jared Goff. I'm high on Jared Goff compared to you are. Compared to where you're at, I think that Jared Goff is a very competent quarterback that within the right system can thrive and lead his team to a deep playoff run and even a Super Bowl. And the reason I believe that is because he's done that before. And I know that Ben Johnson is not there anymore, and I know that they lost Aaron Glenn, but I still believe in the scheme as a whole. And the more research that I've done into their whole situation, the more you start to realize that it wasn't a one-man operation and that everyone had their role, everyone had their place. Dan Campbell was not this just like, meathead stupid guy who's just like getting all the troops excited, where Ben Johnson is like this nerd that's like planning out the perfect scheme. That's
True.
not how it worked. It was an amalgamation of talent that created one of the best coaching staffs within the NFL, and I think that they're going to be able to recover. That doesn't mean I think they're going to win 15 games like they did last year or win the division. I think that there's going to be win the division. I do think they're going to win the division, win the conference. But I think that, them regressing by 2 games is still enough for them to win the NFC North. And so that's why I think they're first. Vikings are second for all the reasons I said. I'll probably put back Packers third and then Bears fourth.
We don't even need to, because I think that we're both very, like, this is a really hard division to predict. We've talked so much about the Bears in recent episodes that I think we can just leave that up to, we'll see what happens with Ben Johnson. It's also something that I think the lead has been buried slightly on that. And maybe it's just us, but I feel also just in general NFL discussions that Ben Johnson went to a division rival. Like, that is interesting. True. Like, that kind of aspect hasn't been talked about. And I think that will be more at the forefront of people's minds once the season starts. And, like, you see Ben, like, they're going to play each other twice. So I think that has an interesting aspect and element. But on the Vikings, I just have really, really little faith in J.J. McCarthy, partially because of my rule of I have to see it to believe it, and 2, because and it's a stereotype, but it's a stereotype that has good reason to be so. The white college national championship winning quarterback on a fantastic roster has historically done pretty poorly in the NFL.
What are the examples? I'm curious.
Mac Jones. You could throw. I'm blanking off of the top of my head. So you asked a question that's hard for me.
I'm just trying to think of the last like white quarterbacks that have won a national championship. I mean, Will Howard, I guess, but like. No one really.
Well, that's kind of exactly my point. But and it's also it doesn't even have to be national championship, but like playoff makers, like guys that were on elite prestigious programs loaded with talent that have immaculate records of winning. And so you talk to someone who's a fan of them or a fan of their team, and it's like, oh, he's a winner. I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest. I'm typically anti they're a winner sentiment. In terms of translating between college to professionals, that argument does little to nothing for me.
For me, it really is O'Connell. Like, it's not even that, like, I have that much faith in McCarthy particularly. I just think he's in an incredible situation.
You're not wrong about that. But we can move on from the NFC North and talk about some conferences or some divisions that we're probably more similarly in line with.
Yeah, let's talk about the NFC South.
All righty. This one I have as I think it's not even close. I think the Buccaneers dominate.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to happen again.
I think the Falcon. I think it's Buccaneers. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like 5 months ago, I remember there was this video, and I forgot what we were talking about, but we were talking about playoff teams. That's what it was, because we were talking about the Commanders.
I know what you're saying.
And I was basically making a point about how I think that just given the lack of competency within the NFC South, that there's only going to be one playoff team from them. And then, therefore, like, there's room for the Commanders, even if they take a step back. And you were like, well, any year now, there's going to be a team.
I know. And I distinctly remember saying
do you
that.
Still?
I do not. I
okay.
thought about it hard.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I have the Falcons in all of my predictions, I had them either going 8-9 or 9-8, and probably
Okay.
being what would
Yeah,
be
I think that's fair.
and being what would be the equivalent to the 8 seed. They're the first team out of the wild card
Yeah.
for me.
Which is what they've been.
Which is what they've been. And then I think the Panthers and the Saints will be pretty dismal.
Yeah, I had Panthers above the Saints.
Same.
We've talked about that a lot. But yeah, Bucks are going to be incredible weapons, great quarterback, Baker flipping Mayfield.
There's also a surprise for you.
defense.
I won't spoil it. There's a surprise for you when we talk about the playoff seeding. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's it for the AFC South or the NFC South.
Yes. Baker Mayfield's great. Michael Penix, or as
We'll
that
see.
one
I think he could be
mistaken Fox graphic logoed him, Michael Penis.
That was so funny.
It was awesome. I have minimal faith that the Falcons will be able to make a leap enough to sneak into the playoffs.
For me, it really comes down to their defense. I'm not, I think they have a decent secondary. Their linebacker core is mediocre. I'm not a big believer in their pass rush, even though they have so heavily invested in it. I just don't know if this is the year that they're finally going to solve that issue. Could be wrong, right? Like, it's hard to project rookie seasons, but I think that, I don't know. I just don't think that they're there yet. Big believer in Drake London. I like their weapons. Their good O-line, great running back. Michael Penix, I also don't think is there yet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Surprising amount of... There's a wide variance in the Michael Penix discussion where some people are like in on him in a way where I'm like, what do you have to back that besides blind faith? Which is like, okay, cool. You could be right, but I'm not actually seeing any meaningful analysis to prove to me as to why you believe that.
1 second. Keep talking.
I also believe that, like you said, the defense, and I actually could even be slightly higher on the defense than you are, because I do think that how much they invested on the pass rush could pay some dividends. So I'm a little bit slanted more towards like believing less in Michael Penix. Like, if what you just said was like the equivalent of a 50-50 lack of belief in Penix and the defense, I would switch it more to like a 60-40 Penix to the defense. It's marginal, but I think the defense could be better than it was last season. But and again, there's a world in which they are above 500, but are still on the outside looking in once again. And it could even be positive. Like, depending on how it goes, the vibes could be good for the Falcons coming out of the season, especially if they go above 500. The sting of missing out once again would still suck, but Michael Penix could perform well, and then all of a sudden you'd actually have a reason to project belief going into 2026. But as is kind of my theme for a lot of what I've said this episode, I have to see it to believe it. And because of that, even though I think that offensive roster is quite talented and they invested heavily in the pass rush, I can't just blindly put them in to a playoff spot.
Yeah, I believe in you, or I believe in you. I agree with you. I just one thing I wanted to say, I remember reading an article that said it. I can't find it right now. The one thing that is interesting about Michael Penix is that last year, him and Bryce Young were like top 5 to 10 in terms of touchdowns in the clutch of the whole season, which is crazy.
I think
that's like the silver lining for Penix.
I suppose I'm not outwardly, like, I'll say right now, I guess one, because I think he's going into his second year and I've seen him play football. Like, I have more faith in him than JJ McCarthy, but it's still a relative unknown for me. And
yeah, I'm with you there.
What division do we want to cover next?
How about the East? That'll be fun.
It will be fun. It will be very fun. Lay it on me, Adam.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know yet. You talk.
Because you've been talking about Commanders regression, but who are you still going to put them at 2 and have only one team making the playoffs? I'm curious. I will go ahead and say my predictions, which is Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants.
Yeah, I think that's silly. I'm going Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants.
Fair.
Yeah, no. What was I saying? Oh yeah. I think that the Cowboys, or the Commanders, I think again they're going to take a step back. I still think Jaden Daniels, who by the way was first in the NFL for touchdowns in the clutch and actually set a record since the 70s for that metric, is what I just found out, which is pretty crazy. Again, adding fuel to our love for Jaden Daniels.
He's fantastic.
I think that he's the difference maker there.
Yeah, he is.
I think that, and the other thing too with the Cowboys is that the only benefit that a team can have from losing their starting quarterback so early in the season is being able to clearly diagnose exactly what the weakness of your team is. The Cowboys did that. We now know without a shadow of a doubt it's the line and the run game.
And they did nothing to address it.
They did nothing to fix it. They literally the only silver lining of last season is being able to understand what your weakness is and address it. And they didn't do it. And so okay, yeah, George Pickens, really cool. I think he's a great player. CeeDee Lamb, obviously I think he's an excellent player. Dak Prescott, he's a good he's a franchise quarterback who can win them games. They can't do that without a solid run game and a bad offensive line. And so we'll have to talk about the other teams. I might sneak them into my playoffs, but I don't think that they're going to beat the Commanders with Jaden Daniels being the quarterback there.
Fair. We can see how the playoff bracket falls when we get to it. But I think we're both pretty much the Giants will be in the relative dregs of the league. The Eagles win the division and
what's sad, the worst part about the Giants have the 5th hardest schedule.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate for them.
Yep. So that's also a factor into why the Giants is one of those things where their record in my predictions was almost worse than I actually think about them, mainly just because of their schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're down to one last.
I still think.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I still think Jaden Daniels is going to be incredible. And I think that he's going to do enough for them to be successful. And also Schottenheimer, I'm not particularly inspired.
I've got some love for the Schottenheimer family as a Chiefs fan, but still,
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think that could actually end up injecting some life into that team, but
maybe. Well, and I do like earlier, maybe even a month ago, whenever there was fights breaking out and Schottenheimer was like, I'm stopping the practice and we're doing sprints. I like that. That's pretty dope.
No,
get your team in
the
order.
Schottenheimer family is a football family. It's football royalty. Yeah. And I don't think that can just be counted out because it was a boring internal hire. I'm not buying that narrative. In fact, I can almost I can say with complete confidence, even if it's an exception to my rule of having to see it to believe it, I think that Schottenheimer will be better than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Whether it's this season or in the long run. And I'm referring to Mike McCarthy as he was when he was fired. Obviously, he was a Super Bowl winning head coach. I'm not saying that Brian Schottenheimer is going to end up having a better NFL legacy than Mike McCarthy.
Yes.
But as of this moment in time.
Okay, the NFC West. This is so tough for me.
It is. In fact, I have this as, in terms of cumulative closeness between, this is the closest division by far between the number 1 and the number 4.
Yeah.
I have in my projections, the lowest win total that I had for the 4th place team in this division was 6 wins.
Dang, dude, that's crazy.
I This division will be a bloodbath. I'm curious to see how the cards fell for you.
I have not made up my mind, so you go ahead and give your opinion.
This is really tough for me. I don't know. I think I have the 49ers winning.
The Matthew Stafford injury.
That's why.
That's the thing. That's the kicker.
From the moment that and it's not because I believe that this is coming down the pipeline, but it kind of just opened my eyes and took some blinders off of me because I love Matthew Stafford so much and believe that when healthy, he is an elite quarterback, even though he's in the last couple years of his career. I don't know if he will make it through a season, and I can't give it. It's concerning enough to me where I could drop them all the way down to with how close this is, I could see them finishing last in this division.
And here's what I'll say. And, the more that reports come out, the more I'm vindicated in what I was saying. Recently, they came a report. Sean McVay was like, he's going to try and work out. Two initial thoughts when I hear that report. The first thought is, so you're telling me he hasn't been working out?
Yeah.
The second thing is, well, we're about to find out real quick. Turns out he worked out and couldn't practice the next day because he was too sore. This is not, and again, it's one of those things where it's like, modern medicine has advanced to the point, specifically within athletics, where an ACL injury is like not a big deal anymore. We have not, medicine has not advanced that far when it comes to spinal issues. What has come out is basically that he has like a spinal contusion and a herniated disc.
Yeah, it's bad. His back is effed up.
The problem with those things is that's not something that heals. When someone has, I don't know if you know this, but when someone has a herniated disc, they have surgery with the hope that it doesn't happen again. Or they don't have surgery and just every once in a while will throw their back out and just not walk for a week. Like, those are the options.
This is the benefit.
So the question
folks, this is the skill set that we bring to this podcast. We have we have a registered nurse here. This man knows what he's talking about.
I mean, shit. No, the point is though, is that this is not like people who have these types of back issues, again, don't recover to living a normal life, let alone recover to being able to play 17 games in a playoff run as a quarterback in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has a better outlook tearing his ACL at 42 years old, in my opinion, than Matthew Stafford does with this back injury. Even though, ask anyone, a torn Achilles is more severe of an injury than Matthew Stafford's, but the lack of knowledge regarding a timeline and I guess you could say it's just the lack of timeline makes it impossible to know where he's at. And so in my mind, it's just a question of when is he going to come to the realization that he just can't play in the NFL anymore? And we talked about this last time last time we discussed this. One of the points that I made is that he has two young kids, I believe. He's a married man with a family, and he has to consider how is this going to impact his life after football? And it's not like he has anything to prove. Right? It's not like he's like, well, I got to get the Super Bowl. He got the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's done all the things. He was loyal to his franchise. And then he came to the Rams and he got the Super Bowl that he needed. At this point, his career in terms of accomplishments and legacy is defined. It's done.
Yes.
And so that's why I said, and the other thing too is that, what I was initially thinking when I heard all of the reports related to the Stafford injury is this. They are saying all the things you would say when you are really unsure about what the situation is.
And that's 100% true.
They are not saying, if it's a torn ACL, you say it's a torn ACL, they had their surgery last night, and they will be back by next season. Right? Think about how Andy Reid said. Remember when Rashee Rice got injured?
Yeah.
The first night he said, "Yep, it's bad, probably out for the season."
Yeah.
That is like, the more clarity you have related to the injury, even if it's more severe, is better than a less severe injury without any clarity.
Yeah, that's why.
And the last thing I'll say is the reason why there's a question mark related to whether or not he should have surgery is not because like, ooh, should I just put off surgery until, and, play with the season and then have it in the off season and then I'll be better. The question is the surgery worth it? Because back surgery is not something that has like a clear outcome.
Okay.
Like, no, you don't know how the body's going to react.
That's good to know. I wouldn't have known that.
And so that's why it's like, you have to bring in all these specialists and all these surgeons to be like, well, who knows what this is going to impact? Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, the spinal column and the spinal cord literally controls every single movement your body makes. You can't do anything without it. Like, and so it's not like a simple ACL tear. Like, that's not what it is.
That was medical roundtable discussion with Adam Wilkins, ladies and gentlemen. That was awesome.
Welcome to.
That's our new segment.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the best way to talk about this division in terms of the individual teams is the variance, and so I'll break it down by team. The Rams could finish anywhere between 1 and 4. The 49ers can finish anywhere between 1 and 2. The Cardinals can finish anywhere between 3 and 2. And the Seahawks can finish anywhere between 4 and 3. That's how I feel about this.
I 100% agree.
So it sounds like we're on the same page there. I had in my...
So then you average it out, and then I have the 49ers, Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks.
That's exactly what I had.
Because you average it out, right? 1 and 4 equals 2. 1 and 2 equals 1. 2 and 3, 3. 4 and 3, 4.
That's the math, folks. That is the math.
Some quick calculations. Yeah. That's
the one problem. So in terms of ranking the division, that's an easy way to settle it. The problem is that the biggest victim of this in terms of predictions for me is the Cardinals, because obviously the Rams are. I have a lot of faith in the Cardinals. There's a world in which, like, their level of variance for me is between somewhere of like 8 and 9 and 10 and 7. And so we'll get to it. I had a similar thing to my AFC where I had a different 7 seed every time. The Cardinals were in one of those. And so I don't know where that's going to fall, but the Cardinals are going to be close.
Let's talk about the Cardinals for a second.
Yes.
Because I want to. And because the Cardinals, so let's just like break it down by position group. Right. O-line, not that good.
Yeah.
Bottom half of the league. Quarterback, we'll see. We've talked about in the past how we both are pretty relatively high on Kyler Murray. We think that this is going to be a really important year for him, because I think that whether or not anyone wants to acknowledge it, I think that in reality he is on the hot seat with this current rendition of the team. We both love Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes.
Right? We love the weapons. Trey McBride, great. I'm very high on James Conner. I think he's a great running back. In my mind, the offense is really, there's a lot of bright spots.
A lot. Much more bright than negative.
Yeah. The defense is where it gets a little bit more tricky. Their D-line is not necessarily, and really their linebacking core isn't particularly inspiring. The secondary, there's hope, right? Budda Baker and Will Johnson, I think, can be good.
Mm-hmm. I have a very similar... not as much, because Joe Burrow is obviously much better than Kyler Murray. I have a relatively similar mindset to you, where it's like, if the Cardinals defense can be like somewhere between like 18 and 21, then they can be above 500.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
And so the question is the variance of the NFL.
Because the difference is that the Bengals can have the 32nd best defense in the league and be above 500.
Yeah,
right.
So like, it speaks for it. To be clear, it speaks for itself in terms of the difference between Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's almost kind of like where we should just leave it there, and then we can almost deliberate about it when we do our playoff bracket, which we're coming up on right now.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess we should give a little bit of mention to the Seahawks, which is we both love Mike McDonald. I think he can be a defensive Sean McVay, a young coach guru. But it's the Sam Darnold question. That roster is talented enough to win 6-7 games. I just don't see them elevating anywhere above that.
Yeah, I think their O-line is going to be an issue. I think that their weapons aren't particularly inspiring. I'm not particularly high on Cooper Kupp right now at this point in his career.
Why would you be?
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is good, but last year was definitely a down year for him. I think the O-line was a big reason for that. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like their defense is good, right? Like they have pieces. They just are young and need to develop is really the best way I think I can put it. And I think that Mike McDonald, has a lot to offer. I agree with everything you said about him. I just don't think that the roster is at the point where they're competing with the other teams in their division. It's as simple as that. It's not anything about the Seahawks. We've kind of both flip-flopped in terms of how we view this offseason. At first it was pretty negative. Now it's like, okay, like it's relatively okay. But yeah, there's just, the roster is just not really comparable.
Yes, that's why I think we're both in the same camp where it's like the only real thing that would propel the Seahawks to the 3 instead of the 4 is if the Rams just implode because of Matthew Stafford is out and the season becomes, because the one thing that we know about the Rams is that if it's a situation where, whether or not they admit it, if Sean McVay knows that Matthew Stafford is out and won't be available, then he's not afraid to tank. He's a progressive. He's a football realist and progressive which kind of sounds funny, but because like those as political terms are like opposites to each other somewhat, but in football terms, they kind of align with each other. Sean McVay wouldn't be afraid to tank to get a lower spot if he knows that the season is doomed.
We've seen it.
Yeah. So we've
seen him do it.
Can now move on to our playoff bracket.
Yeah. Why don't you go first?
Okay. I told you I had a surprise waiting for you.
I just haven't made up my mind yet, so that's why.
I deliberated back and forth. There are 2 teams that were fighting for the number 1 seed. You can guess one of them. It's pretty obvious. The reigning Super Bowl champions, the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I also have
the Bucks,
the Buccaneers.
Yeah, dude, I know you, man.
You know me well. I think that the Buccaneers could easily be fighting for the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Real quick, let's do a little. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just pulled up the 2025 Buccaneers schedule. So let's do this. Let's do this on camera. Week 1, they're playing the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wait 1 second. Let me do an intro. Let me do an intro. Let's predict the 2025 Buccaneers NFL season. All right. Falcons week 1, win, right?
Win.
Okay. Texans week 2.
Win.
This is at Houston. Okay. So they have 2 away games. So 2-0 so far. The Jets week 3.
Win.
Okay. Yeah. 3-0. Strong start. Eagles week 4. In Tampa.
I'll still give them the loss.
Historical precedent, dude.
I know.
They have the Eagles number.
I know. That's. But
let's give them the loss.
Give them the loss, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay. Seattle week 5.
I'll give them a win.
Okay. San Francisco week 6.
Where at?
Home.
Win.
Okay. Detroit Lions week 7 in Detroit.
Precedent, but I don't think they do it back-to-back seasons. I'll say loss.
Okay. So that's 2 losses so far?
Mm-hmm. 5 and 5.
So 5 and 2.
5 and 2.
New Orleans Saints week 8.
Win.
Okay, Patriots week 10.
Win.
Okay, Bucks week 11. No, I'm sorry. Bills week 11.
Loss.
Rams week 12.
Win.
Cardinals week 13.
Win.
Saints week 14.
Win.
Falcons week 15.
I'll give them a loss. They'll split with the Falcons.
Okay, and then Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. 3 wins?
3 wins.
So what is that?
That's the 13 and 4.
Holy crap, you're right. Oh my gosh. I was like, I need to look at the schedule to see to clarify, but yeah.
No,
that is real. They could win the NFC.
In 2 of my
And two of those, if we look at historical precedent, they beat the Lions and the Eagles.
Yes. In two of my scenarios, they went 13 and 4. In the other one, they went 12 and 5. And in the one of them, they went 13 and 4, beating the Eagles and had the 1 seed.
Because like the Eagles, okay, like if we assume some progression from the Cowboys, and let's just say they beat them once, and then let's say the Commanders can split with the Eagles too, like, and like they did last year, but still,
no,
yeah,
you see the vision.
I'm with you. That's not out of the question.
No. I'm not gonna. I will for. You know what? No, I'm gonna stake my claim in it. Buccaneers, NFC champions.
Do it. Yeah, I was going to say, one of us should.
Buccaneers, number 1 seed. Eagles, number 2 seed.
Right.
I have the Packers as the 3 seed.
I'm going to kill you, dude. You're so dumb.
And the Niners as the 4 seed. Those are my division winners.
Okay.
Then at the 5, I have the Cowboys. At the 6... I did have the Rams, but I did this before I did a lot of pondering about the Matthew Stafford. I'm going to move Detroit up into the 6, and I will put the Commanders at the 7.
Thank the Lord. Okay, cool. So there is still some reason.
Yes.
Alrighty. So my turn. I'm going to have the Eagles 1. I'm going to have the Bucks 2. I'm going to put the Lions 3, and I'm going to put the 49ers 4.
Okay.
Wild card, I'm going to put the Commanders 5, and then I'm going to put the Vikings 6 and the Packers 7.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, pretty similar, honestly. Pretty much the same teams, except for the Vikings. That's the one difference.
Yep.
Because you have the Cowboys in there.
I have the Cowboys in there. You have the Vikings. I have with the addition of the Cowboys and then putting I believe I have, as compared to the AFC, in which I have, I believe, 2 new playoff teams. I have 1 new playoff team, the Cowboys, in the NFC, which means a cumulative 3 new playoff teams this year, which is around the average. The average is, I believe, it fluctuates between like 2, 3, and 4, and averages about 3 a season. So my predictions fall within the average turnover of playoff teams. That was important for me because you have to have that. And then a little bit, the AFC, though, even though it's 2 new playoff teams, has the identical division winners, whereas I have 2 new division winners in the NFC with the Packers and the 49ers both winning their division.
And I have only 1 more division winner, and then it's the same for me. I have 2 new playoff teams in the AFC, the Bengals and the Chargers, and then 1 more team in the NFC, with the 49ers replacing the Rams.
The Chargers were playoffs last year. That's not new. They got molested by the Texans.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, so never mind. I have one in each.
Yeah, which is
fine.
About that. It's on the lower side, but
they got destroyed.
But it's still like 2 new playoff teams. That could be the case. It's not unrealistic.
Which, if the Patriots beat out the Chargers, I wouldn't be entirely shocked.
And for me, it's if the Patriots beat out the Broncos, I wouldn't be entirely shocked. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we nailed it. I'm clearly no more than you.
So
the way I phrase that, I'm clearly no more than you.
I'm but a man. So I believe next week is when we're going to be going over our playoff predictions, as well as some awards predictions. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So next week I'll put both of our brackets into an actual bracket so we can see, and then kind of align it based on what the schedule will play out within those scenarios. And then we'll each have a Super Bowl winner by the end of it, and then we'll predict our major award winners. So Coach of the Year, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookies of the Years, that stuff.
And one final thing I wanted to note, even though I know we're going back about like 20 minutes now, I had in 2 of my 3 simulations, I like using that word because that makes me sound very fancy, even though it was just me with a pen. I printed out the entire NFL schedule, and I had to meticulously keep track of, because I also had to keep track of division games for tiebreakers, which made it a little difficult. In 2 of my 3 scenarios, I had the Eagles and the Cowboys tied. But the Eagles in both of those scenarios won the 3rd place tiebreaker of record against common opponents, which was a pain in the ass to calculate, but I went through and I did it. I went through and I did it. So that's why. So I have, to be clear, I have the Eagles and the Cowboys very close.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. I'm really excited to, we're going to keep track of this.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what this looks like throughout the season. Anyway, how about some gimmicky content? How about some engagement bait? How about some games? Let's go, dude. Okay. So the first one is going to be fun, right? Obviously, everyone's starting to draft their fantasy football teams. Jonathan and I have partaken in a draft already. Actually, real quick, I don't know if you remember, but who did you draft? What was your draft? What were your overall thoughts on the draft that we did?
Let me real quick, in fact, pull up my team. We can. I don't know if you're able to. I will pull up my team.
I'm using my phone to record, so I'm not going to be able to, but I remember most of my players. So I can start off. So last year I won, and the way we decided to do it is basically, that would determine your drafting position. So since I won, it's a 10-person league. I was drafting 10th. My first 2 picks were Ashton Genty and Malik Neighbors. Then next I pick. So starting off, let me actually just go through from position down. So quarterback, I have Josh Allen. Running back, I have Chase Brown and Ashton Genty. Wide receiver, I have Malik Neighbors and Rashee Rice starting now. Or I think technically I have Matthew Golden starting at the wide receiver. My tight end is, I have Tyler Warren. Is it Tyler Warren?
Yeah.
Oh, the thumbs up just happened. Tucker Craft, Tyler Craft. I'm just completely blanking on their names. The tight end for the Packers.
Yeah.
And then Brenton Strange. So as the season goes on, I'll switch those guys up. And then my flex is Rashee Rice, he'll be my flex until whatever happens with whatever.
Yeah.
And then my defense is, I drafted the Bills just because like they were the best available, but I'm gonna start the Cardinals week 1 because they're playing against the Saints.
Fair.
And then my kicker is Dicker the kicker from the Chargers.
Huge. I was picking, this was of my leagues, my poorest performance. I was picking number 2. I was second to last in the league last year.
You didn't really pay attention to this one.
Fair. Well, I was focused on the ones where I had a realistic chance of winning.
Yeah, because you weren't at the draft.
I wasn't able to make the draft. Yeah. But I took Bijan Robinson, number 2 overall. Decently happy with that. I don't necessarily think that Bijan is going to be RB1, but I think by taking him, he provides such a consistency for me that I was really happy with it. I got Brock Bowers as my second pick at number 19. I think the best tight end in the NFL and someone who, again, will just be consistently dominant. I then, at number 22, took a chance on Tyreek Hill having to bounce back. I got Omarion Hampton because I just think the Chargers' run game will be solid. It's a Harbaugh run game. Baker Mayfield is my quarterback, and I'm very happy about that.
Let's go.
Very happy about that. And then I think I took back-to-back wide receivers of Roma Dunze, and then George Pickens fell all the way to me at like pick number 80.
Yeah.
People were scared to take him, and the value was just too much for me to pass up at that point. So, because there's a realistic world in which, especially because I'm decently high on the Cowboys and Dak Prescott bouncing back, that being a wide receiver 2 on a good team, yeah, I'll take that. And then I went a little running backs, Tony Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson's going to be interesting because if Travion Henderson, the rookie running back for the Patriots, is who some people are talking like, and he's someone who I've been high on since we did our offseason overviews, he could fade out of the spotlight very quickly, but we'll see. And then for my backup tight end, I took a reach, but Colston Loveland, because a rookie tight end who I think is very talented in a Ben Johnson system, yeah, I'll take that. And then Jordan Love is my backup QB. I got Xavier Legette, and then I took the Chiefs defense because they fell decently farther than I was. I was surprised that no one just like took the Chiefs defense because the Chiefs have a good defense. Like, I mean, in terms of points allowed per game, they were like the second or third best in the NFL last season. So I was happy with my draft. And then I have Mr. Gay himself as my kicker.
So it seems like we both picked our kickers based on the like the humor of their name.
Well,
both of them. That was our strategy for our kicker selection.
There's a correlation between being a good kicker. I mean, you got Butker, Matt Gay, Dicker the kicker. I think there's a correlation between humorous names. Also, I mean, like Young Ho Koo.
Yeah.
I think if you have a wild name, you're going to be a good kicker.
You're going to be a good kicker. Anyway, so the point of that. Oh, and also I want to mention that my bench is actually what I'm really excited about. I have some pieces that. So I drafted RJ Harvey, Keon Coleman. I'm trying to remember who else, but there's some other guys on there.
RJ Harvey could be really big.
I know. I'm excited about it. No, I really like my team. My whole philosophy was if I'm picking 10th and then like first in the second pick, because we did a snake draft or the second round, I just have to basically, other than Josh Allen, like Josh Allen is the pick I'm least excited about just because like he is who he is. I purposely was like, I'm going to take guys who I think have a high ceiling but potentially have a low floor. So I took a risk, which we haven't really established a punishment for this league, even though I really want to. It'll be in the works. But that's what we're going to be doing for this game. We're going to be looking at the craziest fantasy football punishments. So rate these fantasy football punishments on a scale of 1 to 10. The first one, this was inspired by a friend of mine from school. He's not even a big football fan, but he played in fantasy football. And the punishment was to get super drunk the night before and then go and take the ACT and post the score on social media. So they had to pay money to take the ACT with a bunch of high schoolers. And he got like a 17 or something like that and posted on social media. What are we rating this punishment on? While also being super hungover. So what are we rating this punishment on a scale of 1 to 10?
That's got to be like a 9. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I think
it's one of those things. I think it's really cool to not just have not just like a punishment that just like sucks and is embarrassing, but is like real work and just so annoying with no impact. Like those are the best pranks, the types of pranks that just are so frustrating and so annoying, but don't like ruin your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I thought that was awesome.
I think
like,
the only thing keeping that from being a 10 would be if like it was a slightly more like harder test. Like if you force someone to take like the LSAT. Like that's the only, like this is a fantastic, don't get me wrong, but that's the only thing keeping it from being like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's still brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because the LSAT, I believe, has a lot of like essay questions. Like that would suck, just hearing about a random court case and then like having to BS your way through
That's so awesome.
An essay. Anyway, second might be a little bit more extreme, waxing your entire body.
Well, in terms of physical pain, that's obviously worse. I'm also rating this in terms of creativity. I'll give that like a 7. That's what I'm thinking. I think a 7 is fair. That's a brutal punishment. So that would be the equivalent of a B. It's a 7.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Obviously painful. The, aesthetic ramifications aren't good. But it isn't the most creative. Speaking of creative, this is one that I found that I thought was really funny. You give the person who lost a month to train and then enter an amateur bodybuilding competition.
That's also, well, it depends on who the loser is.
Yeah.
As an idea, that's also a 9 out of 10. Because
it has to be.
That also could, depending on who the loser is, could approach 10 out of 10, because that could be some real public humiliation. That could be really, that's bad. That's a good one.
Bad. Just like for the certain time, like for me personally, like the idea of going in a Speedo with a full spray on tan and making up poses and like a routine sounds terrible, dude.
I would pay so much money to see that.
You freak.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh my gosh, dude. That would be so funny. That would be so funny, dude. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I give that a 10 out of 10. That's my favorite one. Yep. I think that is the humiliation aspect, the creativity.
It's a humiliation ritual.
It really is. Like, oh my gosh. The final one, just a little fun one. You take your friend out and your buddy out to a track. And I think like a standard track, it's like 4 laps for a mile. But every single time, and before they do a lap, and every time after they do a lap, they have to drink 12 ounces of milk.
I've heard of this one. It's
called the milk mile.
I've heard of this one.
That sounds terrible.
That's again one of those ones where it's like, that would suck. I put that about a 7. Like, it's been done before, but it's also just brutal. Like, there's no way you aren't throwing up at least like 2 times.
Oh.
So yeah, that's a brutal one.
Sounds terrible. Well, and it's one of those ones where it's a real mental challenge, because like obviously the farther you get into it, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
But it's like you just want to get it over with. Like, yeah, that one's tough. I'll give that like a 6. Anyway, so hopefully for those watching, that inspires you for some good punishments for your league.
That's gonna be.
And if one of your punishments, if someone sees this and one of your punishments is the bodybuilding one, please post that on social media and tag us so we can see it.
We would.
Please tag us. We will react to it. That sounds so funny.
It's incredible.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, next we're going to be moving on to, depending on who your team is, a depressing, but for us, I know for a fact, a very funny exercise. We're going to be looking at modern NFL trades, and we're going to be putting the worst ones into a tier list.
Huge.
So you see my screen, right?
It's loading. Yes, I do.
I'm just going to say we do. Okay. So let's put the worst trades in modern NFL history into a tier list. The first one that we got, starting off with a bang, Browns trade for Deshaun Watson. To clarify what the Browns got, Watson, who signed a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed contract, and a 2024 6th-round pick. The Texans got 3 first-round picks, a 3rd, and 2 4th-round picks. I'm just gonna right there.
It's not even close.
It's the worst.
Nothing will touch it in terms of now. I can see what one of the ones coming up is, and because there's almost 2 different types of trades where there's I think there's a legacy of being cursed, and then there's also just objectively terrible. This falls into objectively terrible, and
also a legacy of being cursed.
And a legacy of being cursed, which
this is both.
That's a good point. It combines both of them to the utmost. It's probably the worst in NFL history, and so
it could be.
It's going to be hard to have anything come close to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he was bad, and then he got injured twice. He tore both his Achilles. Are you kidding me?
And we're also
the fruit of that labor. The fruit of what was gifted to the Texans was C.J. Stroud.
Yes, the Texans got to give up someone who was about to be mired in one of the biggest falls from grace in NFL history, plus injuries, and were gifted a franchise quarterback who's inevitably better than the guy they gave up. It's bar none.
Yeah, pretty sad. Okay, we can move on. There's not much to say. The next one is interesting. So this is a lot of people don't really think about this, but when the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes, the Bills traded their pick, which became Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs got the number 10 pick in the 2017 NFL draft. The Bills got the number 27 pick in the 2017 NFL draft, and then a 2017 3rd-round pick and a 2018 1st-round pick.
And nothing will ever come close to it in sports history in terms of legacy and curse. The Babe Ruth trade from the Red Sox to the Yankees. This is the modern day version of that, wherein a team traded the pick that became the person who caused this franchise the greatest in terms of number. Everyone can have their own opinion and personal bias. Objectively, it is the most dominated team ever by an individual player. No quarterback in NFL history has ever been 4-0 or better against a team in the playoffs ever in NFL history.
Yeah. Yep. And this is one of those ones where it's it's not even a situation where in the moment it was inherently a bad trade.
No.
Right? You look at it and it's they went back a few spots in that 1st round, but they got a 1st-round pick from the next year, and they got an extra 3rd-round pick. In the moment, I'm sure they were celebrating, but the reason why I think that this is is because the the impact of that decision is so great, it can't be any lower.
No, and here's the best way to describe it, because here's the thing. All of the people are like, oh, but then drop my earbuds. The thing to say about it is that even if you could say, oh, the Bills got Josh Allen, here's what the legacy of this trade will be. When inevitably, 20 years from now, the Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs Dynasty documentary is made, there will be an episode that is the Bills episode. And the headliner of this is going to be that the Bills traded Patrick Mahomes to the Chiefs. That will be the so you might not think about it right now, but when it's all said and done, the legacy of this trade will only grow over time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the fact that it had to be the Bills.
Yeah.
Like, it had to be the team that Patrick Mahomes dominates the most. Is just so, it's poetic almost.
Mm-hmm. No, it's undeniable.
It can't be an S because it wasn't as, like, the actual decision-making process wasn't bad, but it can't be lower than an A because the impact is just so great. So we can move on to the Carolina Panthers, which this is an interesting one, especially given, the back half of the season last year. But the Carolina Panthers traded up for Bryce Young in 2023. The Panthers got the number 1 pick in 2023, and the Bears received wide receiver DJ Moore, 2 first-round picks, including what became, because the Panthers were so bad that first year with Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick in 2024, and quarterback Caleb Williams, and then 2 second-round picks. So what do we think about this?
A lot of this hinges on where the history of this is incomplete. As of right now, This is a B that's very close to an A. If Caleb Williams turns into not even like, some incredible quarterback, but just a franchise guy, and then Bryce Young fizzles out, then it's a definitive A bordering on S.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that would be tough. Yeah, there's not much to say. It really just depends on these 2 young quarterbacks and how they develop. But right now, I think it's safe to say a B. The final one, the Russell Wilson trade to the Broncos in 2022. The Broncos got Russell Wilson and a 2022 4th-round pick. The Seahawks got Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, defensive tackle Shelby Harris, 2 first and second round picks, and a 5th-round pick.
I think I would also put this in a B. I think it's one of those ones where, obviously, if the Broncos, I don't agree. Obviously, you believe so, that the Broncos could be entering a period of being a very successful franchise. If that happens, then it elevates to A, because this could be seen as, I don't know.
Here's what my opinion is that it should be a B, because clearly they got fleeced when it came to the draft compensation.
Yes.
Right? Like, clearly that was a fleece. They lost undeniably. The thing is that the players that the Seahawks got are not particularly inspiring.
No.
And so that's why I feel like it can't be as high as an A, but it can't be lower than a C, because they essentially regressed while, giving up 1st-round picks.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, if they're successful, the problem is, well, how much more could you have added to that if you hadn't given up the personnel and the draft capital that you did? So it wasn't a good trade objectively. And it's weird because you could make an argument odd enough whether the Broncos fail or succeed that it's worse than, it's kind of a perspective thing, but I think it averages out to a B.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, that was fun. We got one more thing. We're going to do a draft. So, yeah, I think this will be fun. We'll do it like we did before. We're going to be drafting an offense. And so we're drafting an NFL offense made up of players who played for teams you forgot about. And so, of course, we always see those images like on social media of some iconic player with a jersey, and it's like, it doesn't make sense. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be picking a running back or a quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end to make up a team of players who played for teams at the end of their career, the beginning, the middle, where you just don't associate with them with that team at all. We talked about it beforehand. We are going to be picking those players. And when they get to our team, we're assuming they're in their prime, just because I think it makes it more fun. But Jonathan, I'll give you the first overall pick. Who are you going with?
I'm going with Atlanta Falcons Brett Favre.
Yeah, that's the move.
I get a quarterback who won 3 straight MVPs. And so that's why I take him for the talent. But then on top of that, no one remembers the fact that he was drafted by and played for the Atlanta Falcons.
Nope. True. Here's a question for my next pick. Well, actually, no, never mind. So I'm going to go running back next. And I'm going to pick, there's a lot of different guys that I could pick, but I'm going to pick the record holder for the most amount of rushing yards within a season, Las Vegas Raiders, or I guess it was Oakland Raiders at that point, Eric Dickerson.
That's a good one.
People don't remember he played for the Raiders for a stint there. Obviously iconic Rams running back, but played for the Raiders. And so I love some Eric Dickerson.
Yeah. I mean, one of the greatest of all time, undoubtedly a top 5 running back of all time. That's a tough one to compete with. I will go ahead and take, who do I want to take? I will go with, we can cut out some of this dead space. I'm going to go Sean Alexander, who played for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
He was, not a lot of people remember that Sean Alexander won an MVP. This was back in the era of the 2000s where like running backs would actually win MVPs.
Yeah.
Which seems like such a bygone era these days, but not far removed from that, he was playing for Washington. So I will take prime Sean Alexander.
Sounds good. Well, I'm going to go tight end because there's really not a lot. And so there's 3 guys that I have like on my draft board, you could say. But I think I'm going to pick the guy who's the most consistent for the longest amount of time. People don't remember that Jason Witten played for the Las Vegas Raiders at the end of his career. I think he actually retired and then came out of retirement to play for them. I'm going to go with Jason Witten.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to go... And he's not some great, but it's also just like the combination of forgotten team. I'll go take Dallas Clark, the old Peyton Manning trusted tight end who played for the Ravens.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know he played for the Ravens.
Yes, Dallas Clark. I'm taking Baltimore Ravens, Dallas Clark.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to take the seal of the draft. I hope this counts. Jerry Rice, who played for the Seahawks.
He played for so many teams.
Best wide receiver of all time. He did, but I'm picking...
I mean, I can't necessarily disagree with it, but in my mind, I'm putting an asterisk next to it.
Oh, give me a break. He did play for a lot of teams. I feel like Seattle is the least memorable of those teams.
That's fair. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, bum, bum. I'm trying to think of because on my wide receiver lists, there's not. I'm going to go Philadelphia Eagles Julio Jones.
That's a good pick. I'm going to round out my wide receivers by picking a guy who's near and dear to my heart. Chad Ochocinco Johnson, who played for the Patriots near the end of his career. Not a lot of people remember that. But, you know.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, not a lot of people remember that.
Ocho.
So I'm going to go with Chad Ochocinco. No, Ocho. Dude, he is one of the craziest NFL players of all times. Like, the quotes that he has of the stuff that he would do before games, crazy.
And yet he was still as great as he was. Since you pulled the Jerry Rice, I'm going to pull Tennessee Titans
the Joe Montana.
Randy Moss.
Oh. Okay, there you go. Oh, you already have your quarterback. Yeah. Randy Moss, Tennessee Titans. I think that's fair enough. And then the question is, does Joe Montana count for the Chiefs?
Joe Montana was good for the Chiefs and brought us to our first AFC championship since we won Super Bowl II.
All right. Okay. I just wanted to throw it out there. Obviously, I have a backup plan. Randall Cunningham spent a year in Dallas and did nothing.
Okay.
But in his prime.
Okay.
He was great. So my team, quarterback Randall Cunningham, running back Eric Dickerson, wide receiver Jerry Rice, Chad Johnson, and tight end Jason Witten.
I have quarterback Brett Favre, running back Sean Alexander, tight end Dallas Clark, and then wide receivers Julio Jones and Randy Moss.
I like it. I love the concept of Randy Moss and Julio Jones being on the same team.
That would be horrifying.
That would go crazy. Some other honorable mentions I'll put out. Like I said, tight ends, there wasn't a lot. Greg Olsen started his career with the Bears, and then he also played in Seattle by the end of his career. Shannon Sharp did a stint in Baltimore. He started with the Broncos and then went to Baltimore and then I think ended his career with the Broncos. Some honorable mentions for running backs. Obviously, Adrian Peterson. He played for every team, it seems like, at the end of his career. And then Emmitt Smith ended his career with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Some other guys, yeah, not a lot of people know that. Some other guys for wide receivers, Terrell Williams, like pick your poison. He's another guy who played for a bunch of teams. Andre Johnson played for Indianapolis at one point in his career. And then I also had Randy Moss. But yeah, that's it. Anyway, that's all the games we have for this episode. This was a fun one. I'm excited to kind of see where we go with our playoff brackets and, you know, the official Super Bowl predictions that we each have.
I'm glad that by running through the record, I was able, it wasn't like I had to do a hard sell, but you realize how much of a chance the Buccaneers have to be a top seed in the NFC.
Crazy. You're crazy. I'm enlightened. You have expanded my vision. I've
opened your third eye
off of my eyes. You have towards the Buccaneers. Anyway, a player whose highlights I think you should go watch right after this video, after you like, subscribe, after, you know, give us 5 stars if you're on audio platforms, all of that. Don't watch highlights. Watch clips of Chad Ochocinco Johnson mic'd up. There's one of my favorites is when he was talking to Ray Lewis and just the shenanigans and the smack talk that he would lay down on Ray Lewis, knowing full well that Ray Lewis could destroy him at any moment and just end his career.
I think that
and watch some highlights.
Well, you should do it in the order of listening to the mic'd up and seeing what his personality is, and then watching how dominant he was on a football field, backing all of it up.
Yeah. Which, have you seen his podcast with Shannon Sharp? It's so fun.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of the most popular NFL podcasts there is. I don't listen.
I love when they talk about basketball.
I don't listen regularly, but some of the content that comes out of there is S tier. Some of the greatest sports podcasting content that there can be.
Dude, their basketball stuff is so funny. I love it so much.
There's one specific moment that I don't know if I can quote. Well, I don't know if I can give the full context of it, but it's one of my favorite quotes all time that runs through my head almost every single day. And it's just Shannon Sharp going, "I'm putting meat down that night."
And with that, thank you for watching.